and welcome back to the sideboard here at the Star City Games Invitational in New Jersey. My name is Ruben Bressler, and I am joined by Jeff Hoogland. Jeff, you're sitting near the top of the standings, about halfway through day one, a little less than half, and your standard record right now is?
4-2.
4-2, undefeated in Legacy, top tables, and you're playing something that we don't typically see near the top tables. We see occasionally, but you're no stranger to the deck tech area over here. You're in the sideboard almost as much as I am, doing deck techs. You brought the Rock.
Yes.
This is a deck that pops up from every now and then, I don't know, 1 out of every 10 IQs, 1 out of every like 20 opens, we see one in the top 8. Not really on the radar for a lot of people, but you decided to play it today. Why did you decide to go with the Rock?
So the Rock, I feel, is the deck that got the most tools out of M14. We're basically playing 4 of what I feel are the best cards we gained from M14, and those would be Lifebane Zombie, Scavenging Ooze, Mutavault, and Ratchet Bomb.
Nice.
So we gained a lot of utility from that set.
Absolutely. So let's go through the 4 pieces that you gained from M14. We're going to start with Mutavault. Because a lot of decks gained Mutavault. This is not the only one, but this might be the only multicolored one, and also one that doesn't care about the creature type. It's just Mishra's Factory in this deck. Why is Mutavault so important for this deck?
So Mutavault allows you to make your land drops and still have threats. That's why it's one of the best Magic cards ever printed.
Sure.
So you want to play 25 land because you're a control deck and you want to get to 4 and 5, but you also don't want to be able to do nothing when you flood out.
So you're able to still put on pressure even when you're drawing a lot of lands. The other one that you've added in the green creature section, we've seen in tournament play before. In Legacy, finally legal in Standard, Scavenging Ooze. I see you have a Commander one here, so no stranger to that in other formats, but finally in Standard. This deck, in addition to Jund, have picked up Scavenging Ooze. Naya also picks it up. Is this the best Scavenging Ooze deck, you think?
I don't know if this is the best Scavenging Ooze deck, just because we're only able to play 10 green sources in our mana base, but Scavenging Ooze is an insane Magic card. It's a powerful play on turn 2, and it's powerful when you're in a top deck mode on turn 12.
Yep, absolutely. It can grow up to be Emrakul sized later in the game. Another one that you got added was Lifebane Zombie. Sort of the Black Vendilion click.
Lifebane Zombie is insane. The card is very, very good. Even against the decks like, say, Esper or Blue-White-Red, where they don't have many or any targets for him, he's still a 3/1 unblockable. It lets you look at their hand and know, these are the threats I need to play around, or these are the counter spells I need to play into.
Yeah, absolutely. It lets you have a threat on turn 3, and if you used your Mutavault to cast it, that's a lot of damage coming in against control decks. You can also sacrifice it to Disciple of Bolas for 3 cards and 3 life, which is a lot when you already just have it in play if you want to just get the extra advantage early in the game. The last one we're going to talk about is Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb hasn't really found its way into current Standard, surprisingly, I think, because it was such a big powerhouse the last time.
It's an amazingly versatile card. Originally, when we started testing, they were strictly in the sideboard, and then AJ won Standard Open last weekend with Black-White tokens, so we decided that it was a safe bet to play those in the main.
Absolutely, yeah, being able to take out tokens for just the 2 colorless mana the turn they come into play. You can tick it up to 2 or whatever you need to do to be able to
Cartel Aristocrat or whatever else is troubling you.
Other very difficult to deal with permanents like Cartel Aristocrat, exactly. It's a very versatile card. So those are your M14 editions. I want to briefly touch on a couple of things that we've had the whole time, mostly Mutilate. We have Mutavault, now we have Mutilate, or we had Mutilate, now we have Mutavault, whatever. They're very confusing. They don't really play well together, and it's been in Standard for a long time.
Yes.
And no one seems to play it. Why do you think that no one's managed to take advantage of Mutilate, and you have today?
So the biggest problem is you have to play a bunch of swamps. Like, this deck plays 17 swamps, and it's easily one of the only decks that can do that to leverage the power of Mutilate. One of the main reasons to play this deck is talking about M14 editions is you have a control deck that can beat a Resolve Burning Earth without having to kill it.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And the only non-basics in the deck that aren't swamps, because we already have Overgrown Tomb, are Mutavault, Golgari Guildgate. You have a couple copies of?
Yes, we do.
Just to be able to get more green sources, because you just need the green sources. They might look embarrassing, but they're necessary. And of course, Woodland Cemetery.
Yes.
And your removal suite is varied. There are a couple interesting ones I want to touch on. Vraska the Unseen is in the main deck?
Yes, so that was another, we got to the 75 cards that my play group liked with the deck, and we decided that we wanted to move some of our sideboard cards for Jund into the main, expecting that matchup to be popular.
Sure.
So Vraska was one of those cards that's really good in that matchup, so we moved her into the main deck.
Absolutely, yeah. I had a friend of mine opened a Vraska in the Mythic Madness and immediately slotted it into his sideboard.
Nice.
Which was pretty funny. I thought that was a good use of that. Gaze of Granite we've touched on in I think 2 other deck types, maybe just one. It's actually very popular include in the main deck this weekend. Did you have it for mostly tokens, or was this a banned hexproof?
Believe it or not, that was actually an extra card for the Jund matchup. So we had originally been playing 3 Mutilates in the main deck, but that card doesn't deal with Garruk Primal Hunter, which is the one card out of Jund that gives us a lot of trouble. So late in the game, the Gaze of Granite off the top takes care of everything Jund has done and resets the board.
Absolutely. So Gaze of Granite and Vraska both able to deal with a Garruk Primal Hunter. Yep. We'll briefly touch on the sideboard. There's a couple of spicy choices in the sideboard. The spiciest has to be the Increasing Ambition.
And it's easily the best card in the sideboard in all the mid-range and control matchups. It lets you play a bunch of sweet 1-ofs and have 2 copies of them.
Right.
And eventually, when everyone's flooding out and you're on turn 12, you flash it back and get the 2 best cards in your deck, which is better than drawing, say, 7 random ones with the Sphinx's Revelation.
Absolutely, yeah. Jund just wants to get in top decking battles.
Yep.
If that's in your graveyard, you're winning top decking battles because every land you hit leads up to this Increasing Ambition flashback. Yep. You've also got Deadbridge Chant. This is an addition that we saw in Pro Tour Dragon's Maze in Rob Castellan's deck. It's the 6-mana heavy-hitting enchantment out of the sideboard for the mid-range matchups.
Yep.
And you were telling me that there were some other considerations that you might have wanted instead of that slot?
Yeah, so the Deadbridge Chant, after playing more matches this weekend against the blue-white decks, I've discovered that milling 10 cards is detrimental, and that card would probably just be better served as a second Underworld connection, so that way you're not in danger of decking yourself against the control deck.
Sure.
Because you want an extra draw source for mid-range and control, but it feels dangerous to cast that card against control decks.
Absolutely. And you've got plenty against tokens. It seems like tokens is just an easy matchup. You've got all of the main deck hate with Ratchet Bomb and Mutilate. You've got more Mutilates in the sideboard in addition to Curse of Death's Toll and Golgari Charm.
Yep.
Golgari Charm being able to take out Intangible Virtue, or if there's no Intangible Virtue, just take out all your 1/1s.
Yeah, it's also an ace against hexproof, kills Invisible Stalker, and takes their Unflinching Courage away.
Absolutely, yeah. And you've got some other things we're used to in the sideboard. Last one I'll touch on, the catch-all, Pithing Needle, Pithing Needle. Good against Olivia, good against Planeswalkers.
Yeah. And that was another one of those cards that by adding the Increasing Ambition, we were able to cut the second Pithing Needle, because while Pithing Needle has great utility, you almost never want to draw 2 of them. Like, they're really bad multiples.
Yeah, even against Jund, like, the first one's probably going to name Kessig Wolfrun, but if you have it on Kessig Wolfrun, you don't need it on Olivia, because you can just answer the Olivia, things like that. So, you're doing well in this tournament, and we're about to head back into your Wheelhouse Legacy with your Chalice of the Void 4-color mix-up that we've done a deck tech with before. So you can go. When did we do that? Was that St. Louis?
It was Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. So if you go back and look at the footage in Indianapolis, we recorded a deck tech with him there. Jeff, good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us back in basically what's your house, the sideboard, where you can tell us all about your sweet tech. Jeff Hoogland, I'm Ruben Bressler here at the Star City Games Invitational.